Holy smokes, we are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything, and I mean everything, in college football because we love everything, and I mean everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and your friends if you want to support this college football rebel outpost with a donation. Hit the $sign where you make a comment, and I'll get you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody, even the evil badger Jeff Olson, who has made his presence known in the chat room. Everybody is welcome inside the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend. With your comments in the chat room and with your phone calls later in the show. The Holy Smokes Theater. Memphis, the largest domino. What Memphis decides to do will have great effect on all the other smaller dominoes to follow. What will Memphis decide? You walk into the Holy Smokes Theater during the matinee special, Pac-2 and Friends. We're calling it now Pac-12 because that's going to be their name, Pac-12 Conference, no matter how many members they have. So the Pac-12 and Friends We know the 4 schools, Colorado State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Boise State, they've left the stage. They got their invitation. They are part of the Pac-12, starting in 26. The question is who's going to join them. Air Force and UNLV are no longer on the stage. UNLV still has a shot. Air Force has a slim shot, but UNLV is still hanging in there. But now the center of the stage is occupied by Memphis. In Tulane, in UTSA, and according to Ross Dellinger's report, breaking news, University of South Florida, they are in the mix. And that is an L for the PATC. That's an L for me. We did not believe that USF was going to be in the mix. We did not think that they would be interested. Sounds like they are. All the reporting. And I told you I would take the L if USFF, if South Florida actually becomes a part of the Pac-12. But I'm going to go ahead and take the L now because we didn't even think it would get to this point. University of South Florida is in the mix, but all these dominoes are going to be waiting on Memphis. They're the largest one. Them in Tulane. Ross Dellinger, incredible article that he put out. All these scenarios, all the different ripple effects that could happen with Memphis saying yes to the Pac-12 or Memphis saying no. Yahoo Sports is not reporting the decision of Memphis. It's just saying it's up to them. They're going to go as a package or they're not going to go as a package to the Pac-12. There's pros, there's cons, and everything in between. And the ripple effect on, of course, the AAC is going to be huge. And then the ripple effect that the AAC is going to do to the Mountain West, and the Mountain West is going to be huge. And then the Mountain West, if Memphis says yes and AAC poaches from the Mountain West, and what is the Mountain West going to do? Well, one of the schools that was mentioned in the article we're going to go through is North Dakota State. So there are people across this country waiting on Memphis' decision. The commissioners, the athletic directors of all these schools involved, and the fan bases, and it takes all the way from South Florida, all the way to South Florida, through Texas, up into the Mountain West schools, all the way to Wyoming, all the way to North Dakota State, and everywhere in between. And it all sits now. Even Utah State was mentioned. Mark Ruckert. Even Utah State is a part of the ripple effect. Utah State, according to Ross Dellinger, might have an outside shot to get into the Pac-12 if none of the other dominoes fall before it. It's all in Memphis' hands. Their decision. Memphis, a university that has gotten the short stick when it comes to realignment in the past. Never quite getting there. Never quite. I remember when I reported years ago of all the schools that was interviewed or had a chance to be interviewed by the Big 12 when they were thinking of expanding. President Oklahoma Boren at the time. And I listed the schools that I was told that were going to get an interview. And one of the schools I said wasn't going to get an interview is Memphis. I remember those days. Memphis has gotten the short end of the stick so many times. And now today, as we see it here on September 20th, 2024, They are the largest domino. Let me know in this program. How do you think this domino, is it going to fall towards the Pac-12, or is the AAC going to stay intact as it is? AAC has advantages. The Pac-12 has some advantages. I don't think this is an easy decision. Let me know if you think it is an easy decision for Memphis, yes or no. We're going to hit that first. And then we're going to hit, again, and I mentioned it on my X account this morning. Boy, this proposed possible renegotiation of the media deal in the ACC and possibly lobbing off some years on the grant of rights and get enough schools to support that. The more I talk to people, the more I think about it, the more difficult it becomes. To actually have this voted on and get done, to have this dramatic change where the grant of rights goes from 2036 to 2030, where unequal revenue sharing will also now include TV ratings. There are so many different kinds of schools in the ACC. They hold so many different perceptions of what is going on in the battle in the ACC. And everybody has to do their risk-benefit analysis, and they're all doing it from a different standards. It would be much easier if the ACC's revenue pie, I was talking about it with JD, Mr. Seminoles on Twitter earlier this morning. I had a conversation late last night. Sure, this could all be done much easier if the ACC revenue pie grew to where schools now can only, there will be really no losers. There'll just be more schools making more money. But, let's be honest. All these conferences want their revenues to grow. The ACC has had these discussions all the time. How do we grow our revenue? Now, I think they possibly can. Right? We've talked about it. Maybe a ninth conference game. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's a possibility. I'm just throwing that out there. No one has told me a ninth conference game is going to happen. Possibly the ACC teams agreeing to play on non-traditional college football days like Labor Day and Thanksgiving Eve and all that stuff. And maybe that gets a little bit more revenue, or maybe they do that flex weekend. I doubt it. I doubt if the conference is... I don't think the conference is all walking in the same line, in the same direction. I don't know. I mean, sure, you could tweak the contract, and I don't know if you're going to get... If you take out a pad of paper and put pen to it, man, it is difficult to grow the revenue to the size where I don't believe human nature. I don't believe that some of those ACC schools are going to be willing to do this deal and take a double loss. Like, there's a chance they could not make as much money and also have the gore reduced from 2036 to 2030. I think they would just shake their head and say, this is going nowhere. there has to be some sort of, sure, it's a hedging of their bet. It's their hedging, right? Where maybe they're going to lose the court case here in the next couple of years. In this way, they get certainty that at least it goes to 2030, but that's not really much of a gain. I mean, I really am having a hard time seeing enough votes for this to happen. I think it would be incredibly interesting and dramatic and great for this show if it did happen, because suddenly the Gore goes down to 2030. There's certainty in that. We don't have to talk about the court cases. We can just go on, and it opens up all types of new things to talk about in the future because there's certainty around it. But I'm having a hard time. I'm really having a hard time understanding how it could get enough support. Unless that revenue pie grows substantially, to grease everybody's skids, but then I can't quite figure out how the revenue pie is going to grow substantially unless they do some really different type of, like we're talking about the semifinal weekend, flex weekend, things of that nature. And I got to be honest, the ACC was not the conference that I was talking about when I was talking about that a month ago. Anyways, let's get to it. Let's go through the roll call. Very interesting Friday. And of course, tonight, we're going to be doing a double watch party here at Peek Around the Corner. We're going to be doing Stanford, Syracuse, Nebraska, Illinois. We're going to be watching both games, putting the score on our blackboard. Going to be having a fun time. Please join us later this evening. Put down your comments in real time in the chat room as we watch those games and we talk about the games coming up this Saturday, week 4. David Kabusta is in the house. James Foster, Baylor Bear Patrick, The Walking Geek, Jeff Jorgensen. What's up, Greg? Chef Maul is in the house. Let's go Canes. Kenneth Evans, Stephen McNeely, Kyle Visser, Houston Cougars, Kirk Bender, AMAC, T-Duck is in the house. Pack 910, just around the corner. Randy Taylor. KS Bear Fan is in the house. The Evil Badger, Jeff Olson, Moth Prof, Gerald Jones, Mr. Buckeye, Caleb Ramirez, Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina. Max Schnuck is here. Tumasta. Holy smokes. CFB Plus. I have 10 minutes, Greg. Do you think you can get done with the monologue in that amount of time? CFB Plus, I don't even vocalize within 10 minutes. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, wait, re, do. Going up and down the scales, it takes me more than 10 minutes. No, I cannot do a monologue in that short amount of time. I do apologize. Mike W. is in the house. RT is here. Vox Quindardo. Christopher Marcato is in the house. Christopher Marcato, I might need a new an artwork Holy Smokes Theater coming from you. If you do that, I'll send you something in the mail, Mr. Marcato. I think I need a new artwork. Send me something. Let's talk about it in direct message. Thanks for coming on in. Son of Sarek is in the house. Laura Weiss is here. Mark Ruckert, WV Walrus, P. Lit is in the house. Steve-O is here. Mr. Louisville Cardinal, ALC. It's not Memphis State, it's Memphis. Juan Carlos Wonelli is in the house. Expedition Greg, Muggy. Wow. Robert Perez, Richard L. Check it out. A lot of new people. Love it. Gorb, Yay Yay is in the house. Xavier Wolf is here. Humble Bumble Duck. Larry the GM. Edward the Auburn Tiger, nice to see you back, my friend. Appreciate it. ESPN will be involved and will have a lot to say about the short and long-term viability of the ACC. They will also protect their own interests. Tracy FSU, Mrs. Seminole is in the house. Good morning, Goal Nose. Jeff Morgan, Mr. Mountaineer is in the house. Holy smokes. Everybody's here. Charlie Atwood, Taytown Hawk is here. Okay, let's get to it. We got a big article to go through. An important article. Ross Dellinger. Again, if you're new to the channel or if you haven't done it yet, please hit the subscribe button. Smash the like button if you want to donate to our Rebel Outpost channel. Hit the $sign where you make a comment, and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. After we get to this article, we're going to open up the phone lines in a little bit after we get through this article. I'm very humbled that you would all join us here. Morning breakfast, PATC, September 20th. Go West. The next wave of realignment is in Memphis' hands. It's in their hands. You got the whole world in your hands, Memphis. You got the whole world in your hands. Go West, young man. Surely you've heard the phrase before. It's been in American existence since the mid-1800s. Credit to author and newspaper editor Horace Greeley, who in 1865 wrote those words as a way to encourage Americans to migrate away from the country's founding territories in the East. Washington, D.C. is not a place to live. The rents are high, the food is bad, the dust is disgusting, and the morals are deplorable. Go West, young man. The rents in D.C. remain high, by the way. But this story is not about the rent prices in D.C. It's about going west. To be more specific, it's about going west for a group of college athletic programs. And to get even more specific, it's about going west for the Memphis Tigers. The Pac-12's resurgence, taking 4 Mountain West Conference members, has left one school, it seems, with a decision that could completely reshape the lower half of the football bowl subdivision. Go west or not? That is the question. And I want to see your comments in phone calls later in the show. Do you believe that Memphis should do it? Should they join the new Pac-12? The situation. Memphis doesn't have a formal invitation into the Pac-12, but that's likely only because it hasn't accepted a forthcoming invitation. The often used model during the coaching cycle appears here. A job cannot be offered if it isn't accepted. In other words, the conference has to know that you're willing to come. The school has to know that you're willing to offer. You know how it works, right? There will be an offer on the table the moment Memphis tells the Pac-12, yes, we are a-coming. The Pac-12's pursuit of Memphis justifies what many in college athletics know to be true. The most desirable remaining Group of 5 program is Memphis. The school resides in a college football hub. Memphis often ranks as a top 10 market in college football viewership. It has recent success in the sport, winning seasons in 8 of the last 9, including 3 10-win years. It has a historic basketball program. And perhaps most notably in these money-driven times, it has an incredibly wealthy and powerful booster, Fred Smith of FedEx. It is no surprise that the Pac-12 officials and Commissioner Teresa Gould have targeted Memphis to join the resurgent league with original members Oregon State and Washington State and expansion schools Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno State, and Colorado State to set to join the conference in 2026. To meet those requirements, right, the college football requirements, the playoff requirements, the league has to become 8 members. 8 members. A reason that the Pac-12 and or its consulting firm Navigate is in discussion with 3 other American Athletic Conference members, South Florida, Tulane, and UTSA. So what we could be looking at, ladies and gentlemen, and again, we'll circle back to this later in the article and after the article. If Memphis says yes, the largest domino, we could be looking at a Memphis, Tulane, UTSA, in South Florida joining the Pac-12. How much is that worth? What if Memphis goes west? Memphis holds the proverbial cards, it seems. The school is the jewel of the American, but not the only one. Its decision may impact the decision of others. It certainly will, creating a cascading exit domino effect that would leave a gaping hole in the AAC. Excuse me. South Florida and Tulane are unlikely to leave without Memphis. Again, Memphis is the largest domino piece on the board, and Memphis might not leave without them. This is a package deal or no deal at all. They may not want to go, but they don't want the other guy to go without them. UTSA is in a different geographical and financial position, presents a different case. Either way, 3 or 4 of them would create an eastern flank of the new Pac-12. There are reasons to do it. There is likely more money in it. Likely is the key word. According to multiple people who have seen the Pac-12 presentation, the league is 1, projecting at least a 5-year grant of rights agreement through 2030-31. Finally, we got some reporting on that. I think that would work pretty good for Tulane, Memphis. I think that would work pretty good. Longer than that, it would get kind of, I don't think they would go for it. But requiring at least a 5-year grant of rights agreement. Number 2, presenting a base distribution model that includes a performance-based bonus concept. The top programs in the ACC are earning around $8 to $9 million annually. ACC, $8 to $9 million. For the most part, the distribution from a conference provides schools their main source of revenue. Despite the loss of 10 of its schools, the Pac-12 is banking on its brand, network studios, and Western time zone slots to deliver its sponsorship deals, additional revenues, and encumbered television windows. This is one of the reasons we were told at Peek Around the Corner that UNLV is still in the mix, that they were on the stage, 5th school, most valuable in the Mountain West. Months ago, that's what we were told. UNLV would bring a lot of different types of sponsorship deals, would help get those sponsorship deals to the Pac-12 if they were included. There is also a lot that a conference will separate itself if it acquires its primary targets in the AAC. Not as a 6 league of a group of 6, but a standalone conference situated in a pecking order between the group of 5 and the ACC and the Big 12. It's selling access in the college football playoff. Win this league, win this Pac-12, and more years than not, you'll secure the 5th automatic qualifier in the CFP. So what the Pac-12 is selling, what Teresa Gould is selling to Tulane, Memphis, UTSA, South Florida is the following. You come on board, you're going to get more money. You come on board, and we are truly the 5th conference. We might not have the voting rights. We might not be a Power 4 conference, but we stand alone. We stand separate to the G5. The other 5 conferences, or 4 if the Mountain West doesn't come together. I think they will. But we are above those other G5 conferences. The winner of our conference, we truly are going to be set to get an automatic berth into the playoffs, basically. It's not going to be written as a rule, but that is what is being sold. It is also maybe down the line selling more distribution from the playoffs. Could the Pac-12 argue to get more of a cut of the cash than those in the group of five? Basketball is not an afterthought. Memphis could join a league with San Diego State, a surging power in hoops that advanced to back-to-back Sweet 16s in 2023 title game. The Tigers may eventually have another basketball-centric league mates in the Pac-12 as well, like Gonzaga, expected to be a Pac-12 target. If Memphis does go west and others follow, it leaves the AAC searching for replacements. If he loses teams or not, Commissioner Tim Pernetti may bring into the league Air Force, a school that he's been in serious negotiations with for more than a week. Nothing with the Falcons is imminent. One of the issues here is traveling Olympic sports. Also, Air Force has other options, and Ross Dellinger gets into it later in the article. The replacements are likely to emerge from the Sun Belt or Conference USA. Again, AAC replacements. If they should lose, Tulane, Memphis, UTSA, South Florida. The replacements are likely to emerge from the Sun Belt or Conference USA. The two leagues that offer the schools about 1/3 of distributed revenues compared to the AAC. Financially, it would be enticing for a James Madison Sun Belt, Liberty, Conference USA, Texas State Sun Belt, or whomever else is targeted. Memphis and others going west impacts other League Two, the Mountain West, which is working to solidify its current members with a more long-term agreement, while also searching for expansion schools. The three AAC schools going west would likely eliminate the possibility of any more Pac-12 poaching from the Mountain West, UNLV and Air Force. It paves the way for Commissioner Gloria Nevarez, the Mountain West Commissioner, to rebuild the league with likes of UTEP, New Mexico State. Can you imagine New Mexico State coming from Conference USA and joining New Mexico in the new Mountain West? And perhaps FCS programs such as Tarleton State in Texas, and those in the Dakotas, most notably North Dakota State. I would add, most notably, North Dakota State and South Dakota State. The Mountain West Conference. Presidents granted Nevarez the authority earlier this week to negotiate with expansion targets. However, from her members, she likely needs a long-term commitment to solidify the field. Why would UNLV and Air Force agree to such a better offer might come from the Pac-12 or the ACC? Again, everybody has to wait on Memphis. Everybody. The dominoes, we've said this, one of the rules of realignment, the largest domino has to fall first. Nothing else can happen. It all starts from the top. This top is Memphis. UNLV and Air Force they're not going to agree to anything with the Mountain West. They have to see the dominoes ahead of them fall, and then they'll decide what other options. What if Memphis does not go west? There are plenty of reasons. Plenty of reasons for Memphis not to do it. The estimated additional travel cost for the AAC schools to compete in the Pac-12 is as much as $2 million. $2 million more. There's skepticism too. in the Pac-12's projected media value figures. Discussions with networks are only in their very early stages. These are only projections. It's a risk, said one Mountain West Conference administrator. You are gambling. Excuse me. It goes beyond TV money to TV visibility. The AAC is carried nationally. They are carried nationally in a long-term deal with ESPN. Who will the Pac-12 strike a deal with? Fox? ESPN? A streamer such as Amazon or Apple? What about the CW or TNT? These are questions worth asking if entering the league without a secured television rights package. And you better believe that Memphis and Tulane are asking these questions. It's what we reported on yesterday and the day before. They are in the information gathering phase of this. They need more information. Another question, does this get you closer to a power conference? If Memphis goes off to the Pac-12, does it get them closer to a Power 4 in the future? 4 years, Group of 5 schools have jockeyed to reach the power conference level. Most recently, SMU, Houston, Cincinnati, BYU, and UCF made the jump to the upper ranks, where more brand power brings more prestige and riches. Money and brand are never more important than now, when the House settlement case is set to usher in a revenue-sharing model likely to further divide the haves and the have-nots. For all three For all three AAC members, Memphis, UCF, and USF, and Tulane, the ACC is an aspirational league to join. They want to go to the ACC. Within the next 7 years, they may get that chance if the ACC big brands find a way out, shortening of the grant of rights or legal exit around it. Should Memphis go west and then come back east in 2031? Or should Memphis just stay where they are, stay in the East, in the AAC East, and go further east in 2031? However, among all the reasons against making the move, the AAC exit fee is the biggest. The exit fee is $10 million, and it requires its members to give a 27-month notice of departure. Here's the catch. If a school leaves before 27 months, the fee increases to a negotiated amount. There is a precedent set. SMU agreed to pay $25 million. Is that something the Pac-12 can cover? $25 million? For Tulane? $25 million? For South Florida? $25 million? For Memphis? UTSA, that's a lot of money. The conference has more than $100 million in new revenues due to through the implosion of the league, bowl contracts. We went through all that. USF, South Florida, has its own reason to be against the move that would take them quite literally across the country. The distance from Tampa to Pullman, Washington is nearly 3,000 miles. And Tulane has its own academic prowess and reputation to consider. If Memphis does stay in the East, it could severely disable the Mountain West Conference. Because if the Pac-12 is unable to grab the top schools in the AAC, the Pac-12 then is going to likely turn its attention to UNLV, Air Force, and Utah State. There is Utah State being mentioned in the article. 3 programs that have or will soon see the league's presentation to expansion members. I want to repeat that. According to Ross Dellinger report of this morning, while the Pac-12 has its sights set on its top 4 targets, Tulane, Memphis, UTSA, and South Florida. They don't know if they're going to get them, so they're making plans, right? They're making plans to have league presentation to those three schools, UNLV, Air Force, and Utah State, according to Ross Dellinger Yahoo report of this morning. And there's UTSA as well, right? They're one of the 4 top targets. Remember how UTSA's situation is financially different from those others in the AAC. As a new member of the league, the Roadrunners are still only receiving a partial share. So what Ross Dellinger is saying here is UTSA has less of a risk to go to the Pac-12 than Tulane, Memphis, and South Florida. The benefit risk analysis, there's more benefit, less risk for UTSA to make the jump than it is for those other 3 schools, Tulane, Memphis, and South Florida. It's an easier yes for UTSA to go to the Pac-12. They are the easiest yes of the top targets. I think the odds that the Roadrunners are going to go to the Pac-12 is extremely high as of today, Friday, September 20th. Because I don't even think they're part of the package. Like, I think Tulane and Memphis, and if Memphis says no, then Tulane says no, and then South Florida says we're not going either. I think UTSA is still going to be a yes. That's what I believe here at Peek Around the Corner. And what about Rice? Back to the article. The Owls, also new to the AAC and receiving a partial share, are attractive from an academic perspective for the Pac-12 university presidents, who believe that eventually, maybe in 2031, Stanford and Cal will return to the league. Wishful thinking, probably. But before any of this happens, before all of it happens, before Air Force makes its decision, before the Pac-12 sends formal invitations, perhaps even before the Mountain West Conference adds its own members, a decision rests with one university in West Tennessee, Memphis. Time is of the essence. The Pac-12 is itching to secure its new expansion members. The Mountain West is hurriedly attempting to lock up its existing schools. And the American wants to know an answer to the vexing question. Are you going west? Memphis, are you going west? That's the question. And I want to hear the answer from those in the chat and on the phone calls. I think, I believe that if Memphis does say yes, you get a Memphis, Tulane, a UTSA, and a South Florida, I don't think you're going to 12 right now. I really don't. I think they would go with those 10 and then see what kind of media deal they get. But I don't know that for sure, obviously, right? There's no real clear reporting on it. I think it would be very difficult to get those 4 and then take on a UNLV. I think UNLV needs some of those schools in that faction to say no for UNLV to get a spot, but we shall see. Real interesting, incredible reporting by Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports. We're going to open up the phone lines in just a little bit. I want to get to the other part that we're talking about. This was a non-planned live show. We're doing a watch party later tonight. We're doing 2 football games, Nebraska and Illinois, Stanford and Syracuse. We're going to have a lot of fun. Join us later on tonight. The other part that I want to talk about was the ACC. Possible renegotiation. They're definitely renegotiating right now. They're talking, right? The composition clause gives the ability for ESPN and ACC to talk. There's been reports out there that Clemson and Florida State have brought up a proposal, probably an old proposal they brought up months and months and months and months ago, or maybe they tweaked it a little bit, proposing an idea that maybe we will stay in the conference, maybe we'll drop the lawsuits, maybe we'll stay as long as the Gore gets lobbed off a couple years, or maybe all the way to 2030. And then we have to have more redistribution of the money according to TV ratings, more unequal revenue share. You've all read the reports. And I have talked to some people last night. I thought about it more this morning. And I think it's going to be a really tough road to satisfy everybody, to get a new deal done. Unless you're growing that revenue pie by such an amount that you can grease enough skids, that you can alleviate enough worries from a plethora of different perspectives in the ACC. Like, not every one of those schools, they're not. So we talk about how the court cases are going, right? I think they're going a lot better for Florida State and Clemson than I thought they would be going at this point. Some of you in the chat agree with me. Some of you don't. It's the same thing in the ACC. So some of those schools are thinking, this is going great for the ACC. We're going to drag this out forever. Some of those schools in the ACC have looked at the media rights agreement and they're like, there's nothing there. You signed the deal to 2036. A lot of those schools, some of those schools probably voted to sue Clemson and Florida State, but their heart wasn't in it. They just had to do it. And some of those schools, their heart definitely was in it because they were there. They know that all these schools signed the grant of rights a couple times over. Eventually, with an end date of 2036. What I'm saying is, they're not all looking at how the court cases are going. They're not all looking at it from the same perspective either. It's always been difficult for the ACC to herd these cats. This is a group of cats. They're not sheep. They're not dogs. They're cats. They're so independent. There's not a whole lot of commonality within the ACC. We've always talked about how that was the weakness of the conference. This is why the Big Ten and the SEC recently, they're so concerned about fit. You've got to be a fit to the conference. You got to be a school that we don't have to worry about. Like, come on in, bring more value, but you've got to be the right fit because 20 years from now, you've got to be with us still. The SEC, that's how the SEC is looking at it now. And they have been for a while. And the Big Ten has always done that. When you're expanding your conference, it's the Big 12 looked at it as well. And the Big 12 is still looking at it. Brett Yormark is always believing that UConn is the right fit long term. So, herding these cats, it was always difficult years ago for the ACC. But with these court cases going on now, it's even way more difficult. Like, I don't know if they can get this done. It's going to be incredibly interesting if they get it done. It's going to be a great story. No more lawsuits. No more court cases. We know when the grant of rights is over. We know when there's going to be first party talks couple years before the grant of rights is over. We can all look at it from the same viewpoint, but I'm having a hard time believing it's going to get done. Again, a lot of people disagree with me. Let me know. Somebody's sending me something here. Hold on. Am I supposed to be looking at something? I did that Chris Vanini article a couple yeah, okay. I sort of already did that article. I appreciate it. I'm going to open up the phone lines. Phone lines are now open. 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. I do appreciate you sending me the Athletic article. I read it. I didn't think there was really anything new, or it's basically telling the same story. Yeah, the PAC is paying partial exit fees. That's true. But how much more are they going to be able to help a Tulane, a Memphis, a UTSA, South Florida?
Call from
JD.
JD, thanks for calling. My mouse is not working all that good. Thank you, JD. Appreciate the call. Let it rip, my man. What's going on? What are you thinking here?
How you doing this fine morning, sir?
I'm doing good, except for my mouse is giving me all sorts of problems. I see that the Big 12 has launched a Big 12 Studio Conference. First 24/7 fast channel partnership with Raycon Sports. Thank you, Expedition Greg. I'll get to that later in the show. JD, the floor is yours, my man.
Well, I appreciate you covering both subjects. I'm fascinated by the Pac-12 movements. Talking with multiple people, everybody seems to be impressed with their commissioner. She seems to be pretty sharp, kind of a Brett Yarmark type, as far as being aggressive and everything else. So we'll see how all that plays out. I actually want as many universities. Contrary to belief, FSU doesn't want everybody else to do poorly and just us to do good. Mm-hmm. We just want to be competitive, and that's it. And to see a lot of these other universities get into a better position is good to see. And I would like to see a rebuilt Pac-12 where you don't have a lot of West Coast representation in moving forward in the college football playoff. If those four West Coast teams in the Big Ten don't make it, there's just not a lot of representation nationally. A lot of people would say that anyway, but even more so now. You get the Arizona schools, but in Colorado, but I think of West Coast of California and Nevada and places like that. But anyway, on the ACC, and you and I had some discussions back and forth this morning. Yeah. To me, it's a big picture thing. It's not just an FSU and Clemson thing. I think FSU and Clemson create a path for stability, but it's a big picture. What was the ACC's goals? Go leading into once the lawsuits were filed and they moved forward. What were their goals? Their goals were to at least keep the conference together at least 2 to 3 more years before any settlement came out. Okay, so they were expecting to get some money from FSU and Clemson, maybe in 2 to 3 years, some type of a settlement. And yes, that would be if they got their way, whether it be an additional 300-400 million, whatever, you divide that by 16 teams, it's not necessarily that big of a boon. And also you have, with the renegotiations in the contract, if ESPN and the ACC anticipated an FSU and Clemson departure, what would that pay structure be? What would that revenue payout? Would it decrease? I would assume it would decrease. And that's my assumption. So the other thing is FSU and Clemson's departure, or let's just say prospective departure, it's still leaving the door open for a North Carolina or a Virginia to leave. The longer the cases go on, the more the door cracks for them to get out. I don't believe UNC can get out on their own, or I'm not sure that their board of trustees or the board of governors would approve them suing the ACC. But if an implosion happened, well, of course, they've got to put themselves in a better position. So to me, the advantage, and I want FSU to do whatever's in their best interest. And if they think this settlement is not in their best interest and they have things that they know that we don't, then proceed with the court cases. Do what you need to do. But if this is the best avenue, I think there's a lot of aspects that big picture ACC members may come around to. And I'm not saying it's going to pass. I'm not saying it's ideal for some of them, because they're admitting that 2030 is the expiration date. At least it could always go farther. College football can change dramatically in just a couple of years. We've seen that. But at least you're giving yourself a status quo till 2030 instead of status quo till 27 or 28. And you're not losing any money, because this renegotiated deal with ESPN, what if they do lose money with anticipation of FSU and Clemson leaving? I think that's another reason why this is popping up now, is it gives them a runway of 7 or 8 months, or, well, that's not that long, at least a few months to get some ACC teams on board before ESPN has to make any final decisions. There's a lot of reasons why, in my opinion, if you're an ACC school, you should do it. If this is the potential deal, because it's not just an FSU and Clemson thing, it is a big picture deal.
Anyway. So my comment back on that is, one, again, I don't, like you say now, you mentioned that Florida State should act on its own interest. And if the deal isn't good enough, they should just go back and, just do the court cases, right? Don't drop the lawsuits. And that, sure. and that kind of illustrates my big point on this, is that all these schools are going to act on their interest when it comes to this proposal, this potential renegotiated deal. And the interests of all these schools are such wide-ranging. I mean, I'm not talking just, it isn't just the difference between Florida State and Boston College. I'm talking Florida State, Pittsburgh, Boston College, Florida State, Louisville, and Boston College. Like, I forget about the extremes. The schools in the middle of, if you're listing the from high to low, the value, what type of opportunities they're going to have in the future. It's just a wide ranging interest, and for me, it's hard to get my head around that they're all going to be enough. There's going to be enough schools satisfied, and the other part is the only way you're going to have enough schools satisfied. Some of these schools, the only way you're going to be able to achieve this is if ESPN is bringing not just a little bit, a pretty good chunk more money to the conference, right? Because none of these schools want to make less. And so if you're going to have unequal revenue sharing based upon more unequal revenue sharing, based upon now you're adding the metrics of TV viewership, then you don't want there to be winners and losers, because nobody wants to lose any more money. The Dukes, these schools are not going to be for it. So then you're trying to set up a situation where there's going to be winners and non-winners. Like the teams that perform the best and get the viewership numbers, they're going to get a little bit more money, but the other schools are not going to lose any money. I did not do it, but somebody that I was talking to sent me pictures of, you really need to get a whole lot of money from ESPN to make that spreadsheet even look decent. Like, make it even worthwhile. To make it worthwhile for Clemson and Florida State. So then how do you bring that more money in? There are ways, but I think ACC is going to have to get dramatic about it. They're going to really have to do something different with their scheduling or with a flex semifinal weekend. Again, then it all goes back to these schools are so different from each other. I am going to be absolutely fascinated about the reporting that's going to be coming out in the next couple weeks, JD. Is the reports going to be, are they inching closer to it? Are they going to get it done, or is it going to be shut down right away? But the more I think about it, the more people I talk to, it's like, to be honest with you, some of these schools in the ACC, they're not looking at these court cases the way Florida State is. They think they have a very strong case. They just want to continue on all the way, keep going. They don't believe that ESPN's going to shut it down. They don't believe that the Gore automatically going to go to 2020. They don't believe in the same, they're not looking at it from the same way Florida State or many people who has interest in Florida State. They're on the completely other side of the spectrum, and they really don't feel any need to do anything. So I'm trying to take everybody's perspective involved in this. I think it's a long road to hold. But go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
No, you make great points. The thing is, from what's been said is the ACC teams won't have to take a haircut. I don't believe anybody is going to receive less revenue, from what I can tell. We're talking about basically the status quo moving forward. What you're doing is, there is an assumption by everyone that by 2030, whatever the number is, FSU and Clemson would buy out of the grant of rights if the court case didn't go their way. Or the court case would be resolved, something would happen. But if the ACC continues on this same path where they are on a rapid decline as far as national visibility, relevance, whatever, and I'm talking about as the conference as a whole, okay? Because if you look back 25 years ago, the top 25 was pretty spread out. Each conference usually had 2 or 3 teams in there, and then there were outliers. There wasn't 8 or 9 SEC teams in the top 25 years ago. There's usually 3. And I'm actually probably thinking more like 25, 30 years ago. So the dominance of the SEC has come in the last 15, 18 years as far as overall dominance. But what I'm saying is you're channeling into the ACC, where I think you've gotten the perspective that it is a conference that is trying to perform in major college professional style football when a percentage of their members want to participate in that type of aspect, in that type of a world, but also a percentage of their membership would rather just be like Ivy League schools. And so you're correct, they don't think the same way. But so I kind of got off topic there for a second, but I just wanted to make note of what you were saying, because I agree with you. There's just a different perspective on things. But there isn't a lose scenario in this settlement proposal for them. It establishes their current trajectory for at least 6 more years, which within 3, maybe 4, their conference probably would have imploded. They've got time in 6 years. There's a lot that can be done in 6 years that they could probably secure their future. But I don't know. But my point is that any one of those chancellors that believe that they can keep these members hostage till 2036, no, they're going to buy out before then. And then you're going to take a network revenue pay cut or haircut on that. They just need to be realistic.
But they're going to get payout money, though.
Yeah, but look at the payout. What if it's $300 million times 2 schools? And then what if the court cases don't go their way? I have a feeling that not much is going to happen in the next month or 2. But if the appeals court in Florida dismisses the ACC's appeal, and actually there's going to be another appeal too, I think that's when things heat up. Yeah. I think they're very hesitant because they want to see if the ACC can gain some momentum. They've been losing momentum lately, but it looks to me like the Florida cases are getting ahead of theirs and ahead of North Carolina on timeline. And there's a lot that's coming out lately. But we'll see. We'll see. There are some universities that they're going to just stick their heels in the sand, and you're right. It doesn't matter if it's a better deal for them. It doesn't matter if it's more security for them. They're just like, the principle of the fact is that every member should be the same. Be paid the same. And that would be fine and good if every member contributed to the growth of their football programs and the growth of the product the same. And the problem is they don't, and that's why we're here. But anyway, I got a lot to say, but I think I would talk about
Let me ask you one question about football here. People keep sending me this text. I don't know what Josh Payton means by this. It was just sent. Josh Payton sends out a tweet. If FSU gets Tallahasseed, it may be over. Tallahassee, as in California, beating FSU. It may be over. I just cannot believe that Mike Norvell would get fired any point this year afterwards. So I don't know what he means by that. What does Josh Payton mean by that?
I don't know. I didn't see that. When did he tweet that?
About 8 minutes ago. While you've been talking. If Florida State gets Tallahasseed, it may be over. What may be over? I mean, he says it may be over. It may be over for Mike Norvell? That's the only...
No.
Huh?
Nobody's talking about Mike getting fired.
No, I just cannot believe. I don't know. Maybe he's just...
I don't know. Maybe he's talking about the DJU. Maybe he's talking about DJ because they're still talking about rolling DJ. Some people are suggesting that they're still going to roll DJ out there for a little bit, and if he continues mid-game, Brock Glenn will probably come in and replace him, and then that's it. I don't know. Or nobody is suggesting that Mike's going to get fired. And to be honest with you, with what's going on right now, the FSU locker room isn't toxic. It's just you've got older players that just aren't as invested, apparently. And they're having to weed those guys out, and it's hard to do it in the middle of the season. And they've also got some recruiting staff and some assistant coaches that will be replaced at the end of the season. It's hard to fix all this in the middle of a year. You know, you've got to get to the off season. So I would be shocked. I mean, one is it doesn't even show really good stability trying to fire somebody 4 games into a season. You know, Tennessee had a great year a couple years ago, and last year they were mediocre, and now they're good this year.
Yeah.
But it's the way FSU has looked, which has been a shock for everyone because they have so much talent. Some of it now makes more sense because of things that we've found out. Was it a surprise to everyone? Listen, NFL scouts were at camp every day in preseason. You know, other members of the media, they were there every day. They saw the players. The talent's there. The aggressiveness was there. The physicality was there. All that was there. And then when the lights came on, okay, a couple of the players you thought were leaders on defense, granted, they were additions. They weren't so much, and DJ has been dreadful. I mean, not just bad, he's been dreadful. It's not all his fault. It's not. But he's been dreadful. He just has. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure the team believes in him. Matter of fact, I would almost guarantee. I mean, they like him as a person, but when you see receivers slacking off on blocking and routes and things like that, I mean, there's not a buy-in. They don't. I mean, have that kind of talent and you're one of the worst offenses in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts at how a play generates. When you can't pass, you can't run, you can't do it, and you can't fool anybody, I mean, there's a common denominator there. I mean, I've gone back and watched some of the tapes. I've gone back and watched different things here or there. DJ was checking into the wrong play multiple times. He was calling out the wrong blocking assignments. Blocking assignments change in the middle of when you're checking off to another play. Sometimes you're also checking off to different blocking assignments. He checked off into sacks. He checked off into blocking assignments that led to him getting sacked. And it's just it moves too fast. And that's the one thing is I've watched some of the game film some of the practice footage and so on. When it's something that is methodical, he knows what the play is, he knows the route, he knows the pass, man, he looks fantastic. It looks like a play in the NFL. But when it comes to decision-making, he's about 3 seconds too slow, 3 or 4 seconds too slow in making his decisions. And as you know in football, 3 seconds is a lifetime, you know? It is a lifetime. And play's over. You know, you missed your chance. There's lots of times where he's missed open guys. He's rushed it before the route. He's because, and other people have realized he's got to be hurt because he's never been fast. I mean, Greg, I had a knee surgery last year, and I got another one coming up in a few months. I am not a spry chicken at the moment.
Yeah.
I could outrun DJ.
Yeah.
With a, you know, so
Yeah.
it's just kind of like there's a lot going on, but I actually expect us to lose tomorrow, but then I think the youth movement's going to come forward. And then after that, I think by season's end, we'll actually have some momentum. We may not even make a bowl. We're going to see some of those youngsters playing really well, taking ownership of the team, and I think we're going to be okay. But, yeah, now I'm kind of curious because I don't know.
All right, man.
I appreciate it. Sorry for the extended phone call.
No problem. Appreciate it, JD. I'll hear from you again maybe this weekend.
All right, sir. Have a good
sir.
weekend.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later. Thank you. All right, bye.
Great call by JD, Mr. Seminole. We're going to, I got the phone off the hook for a moment. I just want to go through this breaking news, the Big 12. Let's go through it real quick here. September 20th, 2024, Charlotte and Dallas. Today, the Big 12 Conference and Raycom Sports launch Big 12 Studios, a new programming and content venture designed to expand and enhance the league's storytelling efforts. The Big 12 Studios will create and deliver original programming and content to fans as fast, free ad-supported television, FAST, free ad-supported television channel across multiple major platforms, including planned launches on leading platforms early this fall that will be announced soon, as well as major VOD platforms such as YouTube. Selected programming from the Big 12 Studios will also air across local TV stations throughout multiple Big 12 Conference markets, which includes Gray Media's Arizona Family Sports Network in Phoenix, in Tucson, KSMO in Kansas City, and KMYL in Lubbock, Texas. Big 12 Studios will feature a variety of programming, such as in-game footage. Now that is interesting. That means in-game footage, highlights from recent contests, replays of historic Big 12 Conference showdowns, and an in-depth expert analysis. Original content will include profiles of current and former Big 12 Conference student athletes, highlighting their stories on and off the field. The Big 12 Studios will also feature a weekly show, Inside the 12, which will be distributed on air in addition to the FAST channel and VOD platforms such as YouTube, hosted by Pete Salsa and Madison Hawk. This weekly preview show kicks off this fall, focusing on showcasing the upcoming weekend's full slate of Big 12 football games. So this is going to be happening soon here. Following football season, Inside the 12 will evolve to spotlight and preview additional Big 12 sports. So there again, Big 12 Studios, a new programming content venture to expand and enhance the league storytelling efforts. Let me know what you guys think about that. Brett Yormark. More innovation. Will it work? Will it help the storytelling of the Big 12? Ryan Willie, the evil Badger. The ugly part of NIL is that some of the players quit putting in the effort after they get paid. My question, thank you for the super chat, Ryan. Thank you for your generosity to our channel once again. I appreciate it. My question is, when do they get paid? I don't believe they get paid a lump sum at the start of the year. And how much of that NIL money is performance money? I don't think much of it is. So you could be onto something there, Ryan. But there has always been this. It has always been the story where when a team struggles early on, and then the youth movement starts, the guys on the team who are seniors, and they're not going to be playing on Sundays, they do lose. The story has been told a million times. They lose motivation. I mean, they're losing their spot, or at least they're losing reps in practice. They're losing snaps in the game. They know the season is over. They're not playing for anything. And suddenly the coaches are going to the youth movement because they're looking out for next year. And that was before NIL. So thank you, Ryan Willie. I appreciate the super chat. Okay, we're going to reopen up the phone lines here. 763-260-1333. Call us. What do you think about the Ross Dellinger's report that we went through earlier in this show? It's all in the hands of Memphis. All in the hands of Memphis. They are the largest domino piece. Is it going to fall towards the Pac-12 or stay in the AAC?
Call from
Rick.
Rick is on the line. The floor is yours.
Hey, Greg, how we doing? We got some Friday night Big Ten football.
Yes, we are. We're Big Ten football and ACC football, Stanford, Syracuse. We're going to be doing both games, both watch party games.
I was wondering if you could help me with the house settlement that's probably going to get settled here in about 6 days if the boys and girls did what the judge told them to do.
Yeah.
And so it's my understanding that once it's all done, that $23 million or $25 million buy-in that colleges are going to have to make in order to continue playing college football. Is that right?
Well, wait. They don't have to buy in to continue to play college football. I mean,
well, what will happen to the ones that don't?
They just keep going on.
So how many of the, let's say the Power Four conferences?
Yeah.
How many schools within that, what is it, about 66 teams, will not buy in, do you anticipate?
When you say buy in, first of all the schools are going to be giving up some of their NCAA basketball money to pay for the back payment of $2.8 billion. That's going to go on for the next decade. The other thing that these schools are either going to be doing the whole 20, whatever the limit is for 2025. Let's say it's 23 million. That's the salary cap. Schools are going to be deciding, are they going to do all 23 million or are they going to be doing less than 23 million? Some schools are not going to be doing any at all. Some G5 schools. I don't think there really is this you all in or all out type of situation. I know that situation was talked about in other possible different avenues of where this could have went. I just think but getting back to your question, I think almost all the schools in Power Conference are going to do 20, whatever the limit is, a salary cap.
Yeah, I guess that was my question, is whether or not the conference will require that they do it.
I don't know. That's a great question. So I know this is off topic, but Rick, just let me just take a minute. I tweeted about it. I'm obviously from Minnesota. I'm a Minnesota Gopher guy, and hockey is a big thing up here, bigger than anywhere else. Okay, so a lot of questions are circling around here about what is going to happen in Division I hockey in these conferences, right?
Yep.
There are going to be schools in hockey that are not going to be doing any of this school revenue sharing to players. Now in the Big Ten, they all are, but Minnesota's going to spend more on their hockey than the other schools because it's just more important to them. Even like Minnesota, even though Ohio State makes a whole lot more money than Minnesota in all sports, Minnesota's going to spend more money in hockey than Ohio State is for their players. It's just the way it is. There's more of a demand. There's more of an expectation here. Now, but in other hockey conferences, you know what? I'm going to see if I can find the tweet here. But in other hockey conferences, they already know that some schools are going to pay their players directly, like a Boston College is. Boston College hockey in the Hockey East is going to be paying some money for their players. Some of those schools in the Hockey East are not going to do it at all. So in hockey, you're going to have some in, some out. There was a big write-up about it. I tweeted about it a couple days ago. I'll try to find that later. So going back to the question of the football, there are going to be conferences in which there's going to be an uneven level of support from the school, the athletic department, in paying players. It's not going to be all even when we're talking about the salary cap.
Yeah, that's kind of where I thought it was going, just based on the last call or being Florida State. Now they're not going to have any problem with the $23 million.
No.
But if Wake Forest, who's in their conference, decides to only pitch in $5 million, and the ACC is okay with that, and Syracuse maybe only puts in $8 million, that could have a significant impact on the conference.
Yep. And let's be honest about something. That salary cap is only the floor, right? So Ohio State $23 million, in Purdue putting in $23 million, it's still not going to be the same. It's going to be Ohio State $23 million, and then their collectives, outside collectives, are going to be adding a 20, 25, 30 million, whatever it gets to each year. In Purdue collectives and football are going to throw in maybe a couple more million, right? That $23 million is the floor. So Florida State's $23 million, and we'll just give an example of Syracuse, $8 million. They might be 23, I don't know. They're going to give a lot to the basketball program, though, Syracuse. But let's say Syracuse puts in $10 million for the football, the salary cap, direct payments from the athletic department to the football players. Let's say it's $10 million, and Florida State is like $18 million because they're giving something to some other student athletes. Well, Florida State's collectives are going to be adding a whole lot more than Syracuse. So when we're talking about salary cap, that money, we got to look at it more as a floor than a ceiling. You know what I'm saying?
And that's kind of why I was wondering whether or not the conference could mandate paying that floor.
I don't know if there's mandate. I don't know if I have not heard of there being, you've got to do the whole 23 million. But for example, the Pac-12, right? Is it
Yep.
part of the discussions? Pac-12 expansion, is it part of the discussions when they're talking to these candidates? Is one of the questions is how much do you expect to pay your athletic department directly to student athletes? If you can't do 23 million a year, can you do 5, 8, 10 million? What is your commitment? That's probably part of the talks, right? And of course, Memphis, they're because of the incredible support they get through their collectives, FedEx, they're even a bigger target for the Pac-12 because they're going to be committed to spending as much money as anybody else in the Pac-12.
Well, right you are, but I'm also thinking about Memphis, who says, yeah, 23 million a year, no problem. Hey, ACC, I know Syracuse can only pay 10 million. Maybe you should consider us at 23 million and we'll lock you in.
Yeah, well, Memphis has been trying to get into the ACC for decades, but they have another problem. They're just not considered the right fit academically. They don't have, just like, the ACC has denied Memphis for a long time because of other reasons other than athletic commitment.
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering whether or not the conferences, doesn't matter which one, could use this as leverage to oust somebody in their conference and replace them
I don't
with
think so, sir.
somebody more valuable.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But I mean, you got to get that. If you're going to be doing stuff like that, you've got to get it in your bylaws and stuff. I don't think, of course, none of that is in any conference bylaws because this is a new thing, right? I don't think so. But you know what? There's a lot we don't know, Rick. There's a lot, how does a conference get kicked out? How does the school get kicked out of the conference? We don't see that happening. Maybe in the future we will. I kind of highly doubt it, though.
Yeah, I guess it lends the bigger question after the House decision, which I really think will be finalized here next week.
I think so. Hopefully. Well, I don't think it's going to work anyway, but hopefully, so we can get that going. But go ahead.
Will that decision lead to all conferences, restructuring their conference?
Rewriting the rules?
Yes.
Well, it could, but then again, it needs a vote, and all that. So.
Well, I mean, by court order, they're going to be mandated to do some things.
Yep. Yes. Yep.
And that'll have to be written in.
Yep. Yeah. Now, not all these. The only thing we've heard from commissioners in regards to the salary cap is not that they've said everybody has to be committed to the same $23 million, but a lot of them have said, and athletic directors have said that each athletic department's their commitment is going to look different from each other. Like, some schools are going to put as much as possible of that $23 million direct payment from the athletic department to the student athletes. They're going to put as much as possible into the football student athletes as possible. And some aren't. Some are going to be spreading that around. Some are going to be putting it into places where they think they can win a national championship in. So can a commissioner really get down on a school for, like, well, you're not putting enough money into the football program? Well, the answer might be, look, we can put $23 million, we can put the whole $23 million in a football program, but we're still not going to be able to recruit. We still don't have the history, the brand. We're still going to be finishing in the middle of the conference, even if we put every dollar into it. So we're going to be putting our money into something else that we can win a national championship on. So I think these commissioners are going to give these athletic directors wide discretion on how they spend their money. But is there going to be ultimately something written in these bylaws to say, hey, every Big Ten, every SEC, whatever conference it is, every school, you have to commit up to 100% of whatever this salary cap is. You got to do it, or you could face probation, suspension, and finally get kicked out of the conference. I don't know, man. We may see it.
These commissioners and presidents aren't giving wide leverage to Nebraska on their academics.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
And
but
if
again, I can't
control,
find any.
If they can control the academics, they can control the football program.
I don't know if there's any, but and I've done 2 or 3 live shows on that. I was never able to find anything in the Big Ten bylaws, anything that the Big Ten truly can kick Nebraska out. The only thing that I could find was a process of kicking a school out if you were not taking care of your student athletes. If you were very gross negligence on, like, if you didn't have the medical, if you were mistreating your student athletes, and even that was a multi-pronged process where you would have so many warnings and this and that. I could not find anything on any school being kicked out because of academics. But I do know that some people at Nebraska are worried about it. I can't find any evidence that they should be worried.
And then, do we know anything about the Notre Dame unionization, or the private colleges that are allowed to unionize?
I think last we heard that was all put on hold. That's a great question. I haven't even I'm going to have to poke and prod on that. That's a great question. The last I heard, all that was put on hold. Like those decisions from National Labor Relations Board.
Yeah, NLRB and the with Boston College, or no, it was in the Ivy League.
Yeah, so.
But that was more toward basketball.
Yeah, well, it would, but it could affect everything. So let me check that out. Immaculate says they're still deciding on whether or not to accept Dartmouth's appeal.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains something then.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for your time.
You bet. Appreciate it. Thank you. Illini Ted. Starting to already feel the nerves, and we are 7.5 hours from game time.
Call from
Steve-O.
Steve-O is on the line. The floor is yours.
Hello, Greg. Wanted to ask you on something here about the Mountain West and the possibility of merging with the AAC after they lose a number of these schools. And you basically could have a West Division of the merger be, the Mountain West schools.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think the AAC would want to take on all the schools of the Mountain West. They're just going to take what is the most valuable ones that are left.
Well, I should have said this part. Hawaii would not be in the part I'm thinking about. They would just maybe have a scheduling agreement to help Hawaii, but basically you would be taking 6 or 7, depending on what UNLV does, and adding them to the AAC conference, to call it whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but would they want to take Nevada in? I doubt it. Would they want to take Wyoming in? I doubt it. And that's not a shot against those schools. It's just I don't think I don't think a merger is. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, is it possible? Sure.
Well, Wyoming and Nevada, I would consider better than Charlotte, Rice, Florida Atlantic.
But they're already in the AAC, right?
Well, I'm talking about they merge and give them a new name. Just
I understand that, but when you're expanding, the criteria is not if a school is more valuable than your lowest valued school. Is the criteria is, can this school really enhance our value as a conference from what? And that's a different bar to jump over. I mean, look, I guess it's a possibility. I think the AAC is going to feel that they can be more selective, that they don't have to
consider. Sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
So you consider a Nevada, New Mexico, San Jose State, Utah State, Wyoming to be less competitive schools than what's in the AAC?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, but that's not. No, I'm not saying that. But that's not the bar that those schools have to jump. The bar that those schools have to jump is, can they add value to the conference that already exists, the AAC? It isn't just good enough to be more valuable than the bottom couple of the conference that you're trying to enter. What is the incentive? Let me put it this way. What is the incentive of the AAC to bring all the Mountain West schools in instead of going just for maybe the top 2 most valuable schools? I know this sounds mean and evil and everything, but this is what's going on here, right? There's a reason why the PAC-2, Oregon State, Washington State, there's a reason why they only took the top of the Mountain West schools in value. There's a reason why they did that. It's that economics. Why they did that is the same economics that's going to drive the AAC's expansion. They're just not going to say, okay, everybody come on in. They're going to take the top couple. That's just how it is.
Well, you could look at it from the other direction too, that maybe those Mountain West schools would want to take the top of the AAC, but in generalities, you got the east part of the AAC.
But the problem is with that is the AAC has a media deal, which no doubt is going to get bludgeoned, right? It's going to get bludgeoned because they're losing the top of their programs. but they're not going to lose. You know, they have a deal with ESPN that's going to go on in the Mountain West. The AAC is not going. The AAC is going to do the poaching, even by losing those top programs. I believe, with the Mountain West. I understand what you're saying. I get it. It isn't like the AAC has incredible value brands after if they lose the top four, but I don't see the Mountain West being in a position to do the poaching.
Well, I look once both of them lose their top schools, I think they both look terrible.
I think okay. So if the AAC, if they lose their top schools, they're going to have UAB, Tulsa, Charlotte, North Texas, East Carolina, Navy, Army. I think it's going to be easier for them to grab an Air Force than a Mountain West to go grab their schools. I get what you're saying. It's a lot closer. I get what you're saying, but you know, the Mountain West, San Jose State, Hawaii, Nevada. Yeah, I think AAC still has that advantage. I don't.
Okay.
But, you know, look, it's an interesting idea you threw up there, a merger. Maybe it's more realistic than I would have envisioned before your phone call. That's not how things have been getting done lately. That's, you know, that's the way it is.
Well, if this afternoon, if you put pen to paper, say you had they merged, and like I said, I wouldn't have Hawaii in there because I know UAB is not going to be wanting to go to Hawaii or East Carolina, whatever. But you have like an 18-team conference, 3-6-team divisions. You know, you got the West, which is pretty well the Mountain West, a Central and the East, and you know, you play in your division. You got only maybe one or two long flights, and I mean, it doesn't look great, but to me, it merged looks a little better than they do individually, and have to grab FCS schools. And I'm not sure what even Sunbelt school would want to, you know, if invited by the American, would want to go, because it's not, once the good teams leave the American, to me the Sunbelt's better than what's left of the American. What do you think on that?
Again, the AACs in bigger markets, it's tough. It's a lot. It's a lot closer. I mean, you're onto something. It's a
The
lot
bigger
closer.
markets, but you know, how many people go to a Charlotte game, a Rice game? When Tulsa's good, I think they have decent crowds. North Texas up and down. I mean, there's Temple's horrible.
Yeah.
I just think the AAC could end up with what's left being really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely not the conference that UAB thought they were joining a couple of years ago. So, I don't know, just put a little pen and paper to it and see what you think later on.
Yep. Beautiful, beautiful call.
All right, just remember Hawaii's not in that.
Huh?
Just remember Hawaii would not be in that. They would just have a scheduling agreement.
Got it. All right, sir.
All right, talk to you later.
Beautiful call, man. Finally tuned. Thank you for your super chat. Hold on.
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate, can you hold on for a moment, please?
Yep.
Appreciate it. Finally tuned super chat. The next lawsuit is just waiting for the minute after a male athlete is paid more then a female athlete or a golf team gets less than a hoops team. And, well, there's going to be a new lawsuit coming right after that settlement. I don't know if that's what's going to be it, but it's going to be something. Yeah, they're going to have to do collective bargaining at some point, but they're just not. I don't know. I agree with you, Fine Tune. I've been saying this since episode 1, the very first day we opened up this college football YouTube channel. So we're going to be at this for another couple more years at least. Finally Tuned, thank you for the super chat. I do agree. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your patience, Immaculate. The floor is yours.
Oh, you're good. I actually wasn't going to call in because I missed your show and just came in late, but I thought maybe I might piggyback off of Steve-O's call, if you don't mind.
Yep.
I do think there is merit to what he's saying. There are difficulties at the Division I level to try and create a conference in the NCAA, as usual. Now, maybe that changes, but the whole settlement thing has been pushed back and the governance with it. We don't really know. But I would like to point out and maybe throw a little curveball that I know has not been talked about a whole lot. And we're getting a lot of talk now about maybe they're going to 10. I've been saying 12. Who knows with that? But how about this? Right now, the PAC, whether purposefully or accidentally, they might be doing everyone a favor. Because what they're doing is actively pulling the 4 schools out. Or there might be more than 4, but they're pulling the top 4 schools out of the Mountain West that would have maybe been involved in such a merger that Steve-O is talking about. So now once you get those out and you get them into this other entity, now they can take part in something else. And that's kind of what I think Commissioner Gould is trying to do with the PAC. She's trying to be the medium for that merger. Like what he's saying is like, well, you want to cut out Hawaii. Well, there's probably more than that. And yes, I know there's a Hawaii person in chat and hated saying it, but they are in a bad position because they have basically stayed where they are due to the NCAA subsidizing of their situation. That may not continue. But there's more in the Mountain West that's actually not that advisable for trying to create the gatekeeper conference, which even now Dellinger is kind of referring to in his own article, which is this thing in between the G's and the P's, so to speak. Like, if you get that place, it doesn't matter if you lose schools to the top because you can then just decide who replaces. You're there, you're the in-between. And I think that's kind of what the PAC is trying to be. We concentrate on it being the PAC. It's this West Coast school. It's weird to have East Coast schools going there. But don't think of it as like the PAC. Think of it as like what Steve-O is saying. Think of it as this merger entity which can take the best from other conferences. And right now, I think they got the AAC in their sights because the AAC has ESPN. And folks are going to get a brutal look at how this works in the cutthroat nature, because it wasn't that long ago we saw Oregon State and Washington State, angry and upset about what was being done to them. And now they're coming to realize we have to do the same.
Yep.
But here's the curveball. I kind of referred to this as a PAC versus AAC battle. Why is it out of the realm of reality? And maybe you'll agree, but I don't think it's out of the realm of reality that the AAC kind of does an Uno reverse card here. And if this doesn't work out, if Memphis says, no, we don't like this, why would the AAC now that those 4 schools are separate from the rest of the Mountain West, they're going to be separate, why wouldn't you start talking to them saying, hey, when this becomes official, when you officially join the PAC, leave the Mountain West,
why don't you guys then talk about the PAC merging into the AAC? If they fail, that might be their best option. Merge into the AAC at that point in time, and then you can also go after some of the other deals, like a TNT, bring CW with. They're already working with ESPN on ACC. So I think that there's a lot of other pathways that this could go. And, you know, as someone trying to stay on the cusp and give a peek around the corner, I think maybe that some of these things are something to watch out for. Is that if this doesn't work out, if these East schools decide we don't want to go out there, because if they only go with 4 schools, they have a vote deficiency. Now, there's going to be a lot of decisions having to be made by that conference in the future going forward. And they're only going to have 4 votes to the 6 that are out there out west. So that's why I've thought 12 schools, so that way there's an equal, like, power sharing here of where are we going to take this forward, because there's going to be other things to invite, other things to do. A lot of schools are going to join. Commissioner Gould said that in her interview just, what was it, yesterday? That their phone has been, you know, basically off, just ringing off the hook with everyone wanting to be part of this. Because I think what I'm referring to here is what everyone sees, is that this is an avenue to pull brands out of the various G5s and create this gatekeeper conference that lies within between the P's and the G's.
That's what the AAC used to be, basically.
It did.
Yeah.
Yep. And they, you know, we talked about this a while ago, where I expected them to try to pull out from the Mountain West and whatnot. But I think the timing of TV deals all coming up, I think that's becoming very favorable to this movement right now. We've got a lot happening in 2026. We've got the Mountain West loses their deals. Well, they're up. I don't know if they'll lose them or not, but I kind of think they will. And then supposedly, reportedly, I don't know if it's true or not, but there's a report that the AAC has a look-in with ESPN in 2026. Mm-hmm. So we've seen how that's working out. The ACC, a big negotiation happening. You know, you have already lost, 4 top brands. If they were to lose more, that pops up. But if they were to Uno reverse card this thing and get those and basically get the PAC to join them, that look-in time all of a sudden works in their favor. So I don't know. We'll have to look at it, but I just kind of wanted to throw that out there because Steve brought it up, and it's a good idea. It's just, I think creating a brand new conference is probably a big pain, because if it wasn't, it would have already been done. You got to go into the NCAA bylaws and the rules for what it takes to create a new conference. I think they're just going to use. They're either going to use the PAC as the build for that, and at some point in time, you might see that conference name change. But for now, it's the PAC. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's just something to watch out for, man. Is this thing could flip? This thing could flip and could go in the opposite direction if Memphis, it looks like, you know, Memphis and Tulane, if they say no.
Yeah.
If they say no, I don't think the PAC wants to just put 2 more Mountain West schools. If that was the play, if that was the deal, I think they already would have. I think that they would have just did that, because this is, you know, it's going to be costly to have this thing, but I think that's where they want to go. So that's all I really had, is just, you know, kind of watch out for little clues and signals that this thing might flip and switch if Memphis cools off on this idea.
And most importantly, Minnesota Golden Gophers 24, the Iowa Hawkeyes 10. Oh my God! Oh my God!
You think you're going to get
score.
3 or 4 points?
Huh?
You think you're going to get 24 points on Iowa?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yep.
Man, the cooler is making me feel good about this.
Yeah, look, we are healthy. We got everybody playing. We are ready. I think it's going to be a 2-touchdown victory for the Gophers. I think Iowa might be able to score 10, so 24-10.
Yeah, I might have to show up for your watch party.
Let's go! Saturday night watch party.
We'll see. We'll
It's going to
see.
be lots of fun.
I just want to point out one thing, that while you might be confident, Minnesota gets it because they have already acquiesced the color. I think they realize that they're going to be acquiescing the statue too. So
Got it.
the trophy is coming back home.
You got it. All right, man. Appreciate it. Great call.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to you later.
Got it. All right. Terry Kane, I am drinking water. I am drinking agua. This went into this.
Call from
BJ.
BJ, the floor is
to accept,
yours.
press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
BJ, the floor is yours.
What's up, Greg? Good afternoon or good morning.
You too, sir.
Sweet. And as always, thanks for allowing me to speak on your platform. A few things. So this is a theory that I have going on. And please hold me accountable for this theory.
Yeah.
I think so. Mountain West has a CBS contract. I think AAC has an ESPN contract. I think ESPN is looking to consolidate. I think for them, the article that you read a couple of days ago about the Dellinger article about ESPN being right in the middle of the ACC, Florida State, Clemson renegotiation or whatever they want to call it. In order for ESPN to be involved in it, they have to be open to the idea of giving the ACC more money, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm running a business, I have a budget, right? It could be, hey, if I let the AAC fall apart or at least go, the top brands go, then this contract for the AAC is going to be the last contract. That's a couple more dollars that I have freed up that I can move around. Because ultimately, I think by 2030, college football structure will be totally different. And this could be a way of ESPN just allowing it to happen, because I don't see ESPN fighting for Memphis or fighting to keep Tulane in their pool of inventory, so to speak. And if the Pac-12, they were to go to the Pac-12, I would imagine TNT was rumored to kind of be in play, and other media providers would be in play. And they would probably be able to provide more money to Tulane and Memphis and the Pac-12 teams than ESPN can provide for their AAC members. I think ESPN also has a contract with the Sun Belt as well, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure ESPN owns the media rights to the Sun Belt. But I don't know how you feel about that, but I do think if Memphis or any AAC team were to leave, ESPN can easily prevent that. What people don't realize about the AAC, they have a very tiered payout system, where a team like Navy gets $7 million, Tulane and Memphis may get $10 to $12 million, based off performance and other things. So that's one.
Currently, I don't think
Yes.
currently.
I look it up.
I looked
Well,
it up
they
a
do
week
have
ago.
a tiered. They do have a tiered payment because the new additions are not getting us paid. The new additions are not getting as much money as a Tulane or a Memphis, but they're not getting $12 million.
I
If they're
guarantee.
getting
Look it up.
$12 million, they wouldn't even be looking at going to the Pac-12.
Fact check me. I guarantee you.
All right, send me a
guarantee that's
link.
the case.
Just send to me a link to my Twitter X. I would
I
like
got
to
you.
read it.
So I don't have Twitter X, but I'll post it. I'll post it in the comment section.
Got it.
But
Appreciate
2023, Navy got 6.7 million. Tulane got 12.8 million.
12.8
these are
million,
the official.
12.8 million is involves what?
So the public, what the AAC released to the public of the payouts, those they put team by team, those were the payouts. They didn't tell what went behind the payouts, but those were the payouts.
Okay.
So
yeah, you're talking conference. Okay, you're talking conference payouts. I was talking media. Okay, media money.
Conference payouts.
Okay, that's
so
different.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know how they divvy up who determines what, but I know there was a stratified payout system where there's teams that were making 7-8 million, there's teams making 12 million, 12 million. So I don't know how they do it, but what the AAC released publicly, that's what they released publicly.
Yep. No, I understand what you're saying now. Like UTSA gets like $3.5 million in media money. Other schools are getting $6-7 million in the AAC. But then if you're doing conference payouts and you're doing bowl games, you're doing NCAA credits, that's a whole different column. And yes, the numbers are going to be higher than we're talking like media money. But we're talking two different things. But go ahead, sir.
And so the reason that is important, if I were to go to the Pac-12 and I know I'm guaranteed 12 million or 10 million, my performance notwithstanding, that from a budgeting standpoint, it probably suits me better than me having to perform well year in and year out to get, that 10, 12 million.
Hidden Hawaiian says, I believe the bump is if they make the New York 6 bowl game. So like the Tulane made a New York 6 bowl game a couple years ago, and that money you're seeing in this year's report. Remember, the revenue that you see a school makes has to do with what happened the year before. Tulane's payout's going to be a lot bigger than everybody else in the AAC because they made a New York 6 bowl. So that's conference payout. My discussion was on media payout.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so what I guess what my point is, if I'm the president or AD for Tulane, if I know I have to make a New Year's 6 bowl every year to get that 12 million versus if I go to the Pac-12 and I'm going to get 10 million no matter what I do, it's not even a decision to make. I'm going to the Pac, right? Because I can't guarantee that I'm going to be a 10-2, New Year's 6 team every year. So that's all I'm saying is I think from that perspective, if ESPN wanted Tulane and wanted Memphis, just like they're opening up their pockets to allegedly feed Clemson and Florida State to make them happy, they could do the same thing on a smaller scale to the AAC. So if Memphis and Tulane are leaving, that to me, that communicates ESPN allowed them to leave. That's all I'm saying. And you can counteract that or give me your opinion on that. But ESPN owns their rights. If ESPN wants Memphis and wants Tulane, they wouldn't be in negotiations with the Pac. But anyway, again, thanks for allowing me to speak on your platform, Greg, and you have a blessed day.
Appreciate it. Beautiful. Thank you. Check it out. Pack deal might happen soon. If there's something on X on Twitter, send it to me on my DM. I do not see anything right now. On those commercials, Patrick Baylor, I don't know what the algorithm. When you set up your YouTube live shows, you are asked different categories of what type of how often your commercial goes through. And I know you probably know this, Patrick, but I do not have it on. I do not have it on. The most aggressive. I think I have it on balance. So I do not have it set to where you get a whole bunch of commercials. But I do know, I've been told that you do get more commercials. It has to do with the average length of time that your viewers are watching the program. And we are very humbled that our rate of, what is it called? The average time that a person watches our show is quite huge. So that is why there are more commercials. That's what I've been told, because I've asked the same question. So we do get a little bit of money, not much, but we do get a little bit of money, which is good. I mean, we're not, we're just trying to make enough revenue to keep going, so I can keep the little general, because I do spend a lot of time on this program. We're on the air a lot, and then I'm doing a lot of work off the air. So I'm just looking for enough revenue to where we can keep the lights on with everything else that is going on in this household. So like on a day today, we made, we were fortunate enough to where we got $10 worth of super chat, and the commercials might give us, I don't know, another $10, something like that. So something like that. I don't know. Yeah, we thank you, Immaculate, and we don't do anything. The only violations we've had on this show is a little bit of violations of me singing a song that I sing it just well enough for them to dock me on a copyright. But it's not really a copyright. It's not a. There are two different levels of copyright strikes you could have on your show, and I've never had the serious one. So, but I do have ones in which, if I sing a song on this show, in which I've done, and like either half of the revenue goes away or all the revenue goes away, not the super chats, but all the commercial revenue that I would get through the commercials, the ad money, all that goes to whoever owns the song. So every time I sing, not every time, but about half the time I sing a song, like a real song out there, a copyrighted song, I lose all the commercial money, which that's the way it goes. That is the way it goes. Thank you. Check it out. Thank you for the kind words. Yes, about half the time, about 50% of the time, if I sing a song, like the last one I did was Johnny Cash, 9 Inch Nails, Hurt, right? I did an episode. It was an episode. If you go to our YouTube channel, you watch it. Now, I didn't get many views on it. Not a whole lot of people want to hear me sing. But whatever money I made commercial-wise, a couple dollars, $3, $4, none of that goes to me. I lose it all because I sang that song. Even though I do it a cappella, even though there's no instrumental, I always do every song a cappella. But if I sing the whole song, if I do not do a parody of that song, if I actually try to sing the song correctly, and if you sing on key enough, the YouTube will pick it up with their whatever they use. They shovel it, they check, it's all done automatically, and then I get a strike. So 50% of the time. 50% of the time. That is why I ask, if you want me to sing a song, if your team wins, please send me a super chat. Because if I sing a song, I'm going to lose all the commercial money. But if I get like a $5 super chat, it makes it so I'm not losing $5. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying send me a super chat so I can get rich. I'm saying send me a super chat to sing a song so I can replace a couple of dollars I lose on ad money. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. But I was thinking about that. Greg needs to sing Walking in Memphis. Maybe I will work on it. Maybe I will work on that. And if I do sing that, and if I sing it correctly enough, I probably lose the money. But I only get charged 50% of the time. So the other 50% of the time, I'm not singing the song good enough. Not even close. Some of the songs, look, let's be honest. Some of the songs that I have sung, I have butchered big time. But it doesn't stop me from doing it because, again, this studio is Loserville City and I am your re-elected mayor, except for this Saturday night, tomorrow night. The Minnesota Golden Gophers are going to win. And for the first time, and it seems like forever, there's going to be celebration in the studio from your host. From your host. Again, I the only thing I can promise you is this. I am going to cry. Tears of celebration or tears of defeat. There's going to be high emotion Saturday night. So join us, PATC. We're going to be doing Minnesota and Iowa watch party. And tonight, we're going to be doing a double watch party. Syracuse-Stanford, ACC clash. Can Kyle McCord take the Orange to a 1-0 in ACC play and 3-0 overall against Stanford? And Nebraska and Illinois, both 3-0. Both starting the Big Ten Conference slate. Who's going to win? Luke Altmaier coming in to Lincoln against the true freshman, probably true freshman All-American Dylan Raiola. Brett Bielema versus Matt Rule. Join us tonight. Going to be starting about 7 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to start our watch party the moment that Syracuse and Stanford kicks off. That's going to be the secondary game. The primary watch party game is going to be Nebraska and Illinois. So join us. I appreciate you all coming on in. We've been on the air for over 2 hours. We're going to sign off now so we can get back up later tonight. And if there's any breaking news on any settlements, any more Pac-2, Pac-12, Tulane, Memphis, we're going to be talking about it tonight during the watch party. So keep your head on a swivel. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button. I appreciate the couple donations we got, the comments, and the couple phone calls we took. Until next time, which is tonight, please, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, and I mean it, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.